right, let's call the September 22nd Gulf Coast Advisory Board meeting to order. We'll start with roll call. This evening, I've got Marshall Allen. Here. John Hay. Here. Jesse Burnham.
Here.
Bill Davis.
Here.
Bill Hazen. Here. Mark Springfield. And Councilman Sean McCoy.
Here.
Everyone's here now. All right, introduction to new board members. We have Bill Davis who's with us tonight.
Bill, you want to tell us just a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm Bill Davis. I've been living in Longmont for 25 years-ish. Started playing golf after I got out of the Navy in '87. Played a lot in Florida. Moved up here, started playing quite a bit, and then we had 2 kids. And so as they got me into some of my other volunteer stuff, we put away our golf clubs for some years. I retired a month ago, so I'm getting back into golf. So I look forward to helping my wife.
Welcome
Thanks.
to the board.
And I think let's just do a quick introduction. Bill, do you want to start at this end?
What did you want us to highlight?
Just names. Just names.
Oh, by the way, I did get this off the video last week or last month.
You did? Okay,
Yes.
so never mind.
He said he watched us.
Okay.
He took notes. So we'll move on to the approval of the agenda for tonight. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
Sure, a second.
All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye.
And any opposed? And the motion passes unanimously. We move on to the approval of the previous meeting's minutes. Did anyone have any changes to the minutes? Doesn't appear that there is. Do I have a motion to approve the July 28th meeting minutes? What's that?
Move that we approve.
Okay, do I have a second? All right. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? And motion passes unanimously. All right. It appears no public is in attendance. So we'll move on to communications. My favorite part. Ryan, would you like to start?
Sure.
All right.
All right, we'll start with sunset. August 25 projected was for revenue side of it was 99,127. Actual revenue came in at 116,976. Round wise projected at 5305. Actual rounds came in at 5706. Putting us up. I believe about 15% for the month, over that month, and 2% for the year, give or take. Any questions for sunset before I go to twin?
Here's no.
Okay. All right. Twin. So your revenue projected for August was 217,398. Actual came in at 264,492. Rounds projected at 6,553, came in at 6,029, putting us down about 10% total for the year in rounds. Still working on figuring out why the big difference. I talked with Jeff about that at our meeting. Need to kind of do a full audit of the days and the months to kind of go through to see make sure everything was rung in for the leagues that were all prepaid rounds, along with the golf now, prepaid rounds. So I will continue to get back to that, working on that.
So the revenue's up on less rounds?
According to these numbers, yes. In theory, but I need to check.
10,000 behind. Is that what that was? Yeah.
I'm behind in the rounds
And revenue.
and revenue.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Year to date, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I was looking at, I looked at the wrong one there. 0.7, 10,000 behind, yeah. it's all different, looking different on this one. Sorry, I did it wrong.
Is the sunset one 2% year to date?
Sunset
2.3,
then. Where am I?
Yep.
4% ahead of sunset is the correct amount there. Thank you. So, and then twin, yes, we're down
Yeah.
10,000, roughly give or take. So, but I need to double check on a few things with the round side of it too to see what's going on there.
Anybody have anything else for sunset or meetings?
You probably look at March, because March was kind of up, right? It's only up month. So look at that and say like compared to April or February.
For which
any
horse?
auditing purposes? Oh, for a twin.
March probably, I would say, was probably up just because of the beginning of the season.
Right.
January we were closed for the most part, and then when I took over in February, we were kind of closed at the beginning right then.
Right.
But we opened up, and it was slow to start with all the construction on the back nine. And then once March kind of kicked in a little bit more, grass started to try to come back, I guess.
I just meant for like auditing purposes, if you're looking at figuring out pluses or minuses, like compare those 2 months, right? That's the only month that's plus rounds.
Mhm.
See what's weird there or different. You know.
Yeah. I mean, I got to start the whole year, but yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Probably a good area to get to, but
Keith?
All right. Youth brief, month of August, came in at 350,552, which is almost 13,000 ahead of last year's numbers. For the year, 4.6 up, $85,000 up. As far as rounds go, rounds for the month of August were 7,033, which is up.
261.
For the year, we're up 3.1% for the year. So, we're moving right along. Golf course is, and it's really brought her back. And it's coming along real nice. In good shape. A lot of the ropes are down. Had a little bit of a situation without water for a minute, and too many minutes actually. So water doesn't come down the ditch, it doesn't fill the lakes, and you can't water the golf course. So that happened for a little while, and that's why we kind of went backwards. We've been on some of those areas that we had really come a long way on. So, but we got water again, so we're back to filling in all those areas. And the course is in really good condition. Got the aeration done today, so we're looking forward to finishing out the fall really strong. Might be great. That's it.
Where does the water come from? Is it like ditch rights access? Is that
Yeah, the city has rights, water rights, but it also all depends on how much snow we get up in the mountains.
right?
And we didn't start off the year with the res. I don't know if you guys know where Pleasant Valley Reservoir is off of 95th and like north of Highway 66 up there. So that's where we get all our water from. But we share it with farmers out east of us, school district, Fox Hill, and parks all pull off that same ditch. So when it didn't start off the season full, and I don't know, I thought the snowpack was pretty good, but we didn't have as much as we thought. So we've got kind of scary there. Was that the middle of August, end of August, something like that. So, but we got some. We're able to. The city has also shares of CBT water, which is Colorado Big Thompson water. So they gave us some of that to get us through the fall. So we should be good to get through the fall. And then I've just been trying to work with the ditch rider to turn it off, like when we're gonna have weeks like this, or it's gonna be rain. Tomorrow's gonna be 55 degrees. So we're trying to conserve that water in the reservoir for the rest of the fall, and then make it easier to fill it up. It's like gold.
Is that-
It's like gold.
Oh,
Water.
it's pretty complicated.
Yeah, it is very complicated and very.
You get into, yeah.
Could I ask a couple questions? One, it's hard for me to hear, so if we could turn Zoom down, I'm sorry. But when I look at these numbers which you give us every month, what are they, gross or are they net revenue numbers? Are they gross numbers? So, how do you know what the net is? How do you know if you're ahead of the game or not?
Well, we get a monthly report of how we're doing. Let me just, on the, so I don't see it offhand. But last I had seen, revenue was over $1 million ahead of our expectations, which is the operational side. It does not include the capital side. So the budget deals with operational stuff, and then capital, like when we did the irrigation system, is tracked a different way, but it still comes out of the same pot of money. We don't get money from the general fund or taxes.
Yeah, I was just
I
curious.
can bring that at the next meeting out.
It might be helpful because all you're getting is the top end. You don't know.
Oh, no, trust me,
You
I'm-
know,
Yeah.
you know, but if you're sharing it, it would be nice to know
Yep, I can do that.
what the bottom line looks like. And then, so for instance, one of the questions I had when I looked at the overall numbers, it looked like the court, from a revenue standpoint, you were ahead of projection by over $1 million, like $600,000.
And that, when we did the 25 budget, we were very conservative. As we moved into 26, we're increasing our expectations quite a bit, nearly $1 million, because now we've had some consistency. I was fearful that with the revenue side of things, that further we got away from COVID, and we'd start to see a downturn. We're not seeing that at all.
So when I see something called projected, is that the budget?
No, projected is my number based on comparison over the last 5 or 6 years.
So is your projected would be lower than the budget?
It's a little higher, actually.
Higher than the budget?
Yeah.
So when you show that you're 600,000 ahead of projected, I assume that's also ahead of budget. Then, right?
Yeah, well, absolutely.
So where does that go?
It goes into the Gulf Fund, which sits there until we need the money.
So is that like a rainy day fund? Or is
Oh, no, it's there. So we're going to talk a little bit about this, the next one, or the second thing on the agenda. But the Gulf Fund is an enterprise fund, which means it only spends what it brings in. And again, I'll get into a little bit more detail. So if we bring $1 million over, that money is available only to golf, not to anywhere else in the city. One of the things that we'll talk about CIP is that Butte Creek is now 27 years old. 28 years old, and we need to start putting money aside to replace the irrigation system there, as well as with the amount of money we had available to work at Twin Peaks and at Sunset, we were able to replace the pump station at Sunset, but we weren't able to do any of the underground piping because of how much expenses that got.
So do you have to spend that in the same year, or
No.
do you carry that over?
It carries over, it could sit there for 20 years and build up until Dan has enough money to replace that. Generally, we try to spend $200,000 a year in capital projects, ranging anywhere from chip sealing of the parking lots, putting in new heaters or HVAC units at the clubhouses. Dan's getting ready to replace the roof on that new creek, and it pays for all those kind of things, as well as the restroom and that sort of thing on different courses.
Do you have any vaults you have to service?
Yes, we do. We have two things. The only thing that taxes pay for in golf is the bond election that passed in 2018. And that money was voted on to spend about $6 million in improvements at the 3 golf courses. We ended up spending closer to, I think the number was $9 million total.
So next month when you share the net number with us, is that part of the net?
Yes.
Your yearly hit on
Well, no, because the bonds are paid by sales tax, so that doesn't show up in the golf fund. We did have to borrow $2.2 million from the fleet fund to be able to complete the maintenance building. So we have a payment of $200,000 a year to cover that debt service that for 10 years.
Some is
That
in,
will-
some is in, some is not in.
Correct.
Okay.
But moving forward, once the debt from the bond election from 2018 is paid for, golf is on its own and has to pay its way moving forward. One of the reasons that we believed it was appropriate to use sales tax this one time is that the enterprise fund for golf was created in 1985. And when that was created, there was no funds that went along with that to do any ongoing maintenance. And because U Creek never didn't have a maintenance facility, and the golf course here was, 40 some years old, that was believed to make golf whole. And then again, moving forward, we'll have to pay for all of that on our own.
Do you know offhand how much you're holding in your?
It's over $2 million. You know, it got pretty low during the bond projects, and those numbers kept going up. And we've the last 2 years done very well building that back up. I will give you that number next month.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So when you say we're going back, the golf enterprise will be on its own, because didn't we like join with parks and recreation?
Yeah,
and
that
stuff?
has enough. That
That's
has
different.
nothing
Okay.
to do with the budget.
Okay. Just,
They don't have any money anyway.
well, I thought that they were at one time pulling from
People pay to go to
golf,
parks.
but
No,
Okay.
golf money cannot be used anywhere but for golf.
you're right.
I guess that could change if city council would choose to do that, but the way the enterprise fund is set right now is that money can only be used for golf.
And the tower.
That's part of golf.
That is part of
If that was to change, or if the goal was to change that, does that have to go to the voters, or is that just a council thing?
Well, I would think certain aspects, if we were to increase the bond, that would go to the voters. But to make a decision about changing it to having it on its own, it might.
Well, it is on its own.
No, I mean to
You're
change
asking
it
if-
from what you're saying, the opposite.
If money from golf could go somewhere else.
Well, I'm just asking if there was a change in condition. If you're on your own now, there was some effort to say, we want to bring you back into the city's revenue
Well,
structure.
I don't think that the
Does
city,
that go to the voters? Or
no, it go to city council. But I don't know that golf would ever not be an enterprise fund moving forward. I think that council at times could choose to subsidize the operation, but again, it would be based on whatever is happening at that time.
Keith probably remembers back in 2009, 2010, the sprinkler system was failing. Do you remember that? And I think we came to try to figure out how to get that fixed. I just don't recall the whole episode of what it was. I think
It didn't happen.
It did not happen.
It didn't happen until we received $6.6 million from the bond that was passed in 2018. When we received that money, which we are not paying that money back. That's not money we owe. The money
The
we
city
owe.
does.
Yeah, the city does. The
City
city
does.
does. But that's not coming out of golf back to that. The money we owe is the extra $2.5 million we had to borrow over and above to complete the projects as part of that money that we received. And so that 6.6 is what fixed the failed irrigation system for the last 2.5 years.
Right.
So that's how that got taken care of.
So would you mind if we just skip to the CIP philosophy and talk a little bit about that right now? It kind of goes better with the conversation we're having.
Well, then this is the portion where I'm turning over.
Okay.
You do as you like.
So at our last meeting, we had talked about, you had asked about the philosophy of the capital improvement fund, and wanted to share a little bit about that this evening, as well as talk about kind of what our priorities are to spend through the rest of this year and into 2026. So this is kind of what we're talking about, is the golf fund is an enterprise. Money that we bring in from fees and charges and golf carts and driving range all goes to the golf enterprise fund. And the rates are now set normally through our dynamic pricing system. Historically, golf, the staff would bring golf fees to the golf board every year. And in 2017, we went to dynamic pricing, which gave me, as the manager of golf, the authority to set fees. So we work with Golf Now to help use their services to either raise up our fees or lower them depending on what goes on. And it's a lot like what you see in the hotel world when you go in, and if things are really busy, prices go up. If things aren't so busy, they go down. And it's the same thing where they use how busy we are, the weather, and what's going on in other courses around us to be able to rise and lower that fee. When we first started, fees were constantly going down. We generally never hit what was set as our rack rate of what we were trying to get to. And Ryan and Keith, if you could help me with this. Back at that time, if we got $30 a round here at Twin Peaks, we were doing very well. I think we talked the other day, and the average round now is $60. Is that right?
60 on the weekdays, 66 on the weekends.
Yeah.
So, and that fluctuates, like you're saying, with the busyness. If you're on the website booking, if you're on Golf Now's website, you may see it at 71, you may see it at 64 on the weekends, depending if it's busy or not. If it's 7, 8 open tee times, the rate's not going to be above the rack rate, call it, or the higher average rate that we have. So
the same thing with U Creek. Back at that time in 2017, if we got $45 around at U Creek, we were doing very well. And generally, we were getting people in the door through our players' cards, through buy one, get one, and other kind of combination deals that we put together to be able to get people in the door. Keith is now was telling us the other day he has sold over 200 rounds this year of over $100 at U Creek, and that's unheard of. But it matches what other golf courses are doing around our community. And again, since we have to live and breathe on the amount of money that we bring in, when things are busy, we're able to raise those fees up. And they're not so busy later in the afternoon, especially hot days. In the summer, this can go down. Go ahead. So just a little background. Golf Services, we now have a new assistant city manager, Jen Uten. Started a few weeks ago with the city. She replaced Joni Marsh, who was our leader until March of this year. We currently are still reporting to Zach Artis, and we'll do that until the beginning of the year, and then we'll turn over to Jen once she's kind of got her feet underneath her. In the operation, Ryan and Dan are both the supervisors or superintendents of the operations of the 3 golf courses, and then we have I think our number is around 11.5 full-time employees that are paid for out of the golf fund. And then we have, it's somewhere between 25 and 30 temporary employees that work only certain times of the year. And then there is the contracts that we have with Keith and with Ryan to operate the 3 golf courses. The people that you see that are generally inside the clubhouse or that are working with the golf carts or volunteering on the golf courses are volunteers or employees of Keith and Ryan. They each have a 5-year agreement that was renewed earlier this year when Sam retired from U Creek. All of the people that you see maintaining the golf course or the clubhouses, they are city employees. Any questions on that? There's real confusion in people that come in because people will call and say, hey, your guy at the front desk at Twin Peaks didn't treat me very well, and I then need to, sorry, I'm just using you as an example, need to talk with Ryan about that, and then he addresses that. Okay? So we talked a little bit about our philosophy, and we are living in a different world now that COVID has impacted the game of golf, and now we're able to collect the amount of revenues that we have. Golf is really in a place of catch up. For so many years, we never had money to be able to do anything to improve the golf courses, that unless it was truly a safety thing, things did not get done. And so we've really been trying to invest into 4 areas. The first one is facility upkeep, which is the clubhouses, the maintenance facilities, and any buildings we might have out on the golf courses, like the bathroom here. We prioritize, and I'm not going to read this, I will send this to you tomorrow so that you can have it, but we maintain the structures and focus on the preventative maintenance to ensure that we are meeting all the different safety standards. You could change that, Ryan. The second area is irrigation, repair, and water management. Everything we're doing in our world right now is with a goal to save as much water as possible. With the irrigation system that we're doing here, we believe we're going to save at least 30% water from what we were using prior to the new irrigation system. And mainly that's because of the quality of controls we were able to put in. Go ahead. Golfer experience. One of the biggest challenges with, we talked about we spent over $6 million over the last 3 years is, although it impacts directly the experience that we provide to the golfer, it's all underground or in a maintenance building that the golfer really doesn't have access to. And so we're really wanting to do things, and part of what we want to hear from you all is what things can we do that really improve that golfer experience and really keeps people golfing here in Longmont. And then finally, is, if you could change, Ryan, is the non-golfer experience. One of the things that we as a staff have really identified that we want people on the golf course that aren't just golfers. That's why you're starting to see us do some special events that we really encourage people that when golf is not being played, come out and walk the paths or walk the golf courses so that people that, again, aren't golfers are able to have an experience in what is really a giant park. Any questions so far? Okay. So Dan and Ryan are going to take it from here, and then as they finish, we'll talk about what can we be looking at in the future that you all would like to see.
All right, so I'll talk about U Creek real quick. Some of the stuff that I plan to do, like it says, we're going to get a brand new roof here. It should be coming in the next month or two. And the only problem with that is it's going to coincide with us doing the deck too. So hopefully the two companies aren't there at the same time and dropping shingles and stuff on the new deck that they want done. So we'll make it work out there. But along with the new roof, we're also going to get new gutters. So when those new gutters come on, they'll be fresh painted stuff. So I want to really work on some of this exterior stuff here. Some of these soffits, there's some water damage that has come from the old gutters that are, as far as I know, original. So we'll be working on those in the spring, trying to get some quotes and see what it's going to take to bring all that stuff up to par, and then do some painting and clean up some of the stucco and stuff and paint our little turtle named Beauty right there. So we'll get him all freshened up. But that's kind of stuff, that first part of the clubhouse for the spring. Go ahead. And then, as we all know, we're still working on the deck. It's under contract right now. We have a company that's going to do it. We're just waiting on a few more internal things for them to get started, and then hopefully in the next few weeks we should be up and ready to go. I don't know if we talked about this north side much, but this is a picture of the north side here where the concrete's deteriorating and the handrail that we've had to replace. That was the main thing. But now we're going to rip that whole thing out and put in all fresh concrete and a fresh new rail on that north side, which might have changed since the last time we were here. So that'll be all new and fresh over there too. And then, as you can see, our parking lot is starting to get some giant cracks. We tried to crack seal it about 2-3 years ago, and the cracks were too big. The company said that they couldn't even seal them. So what they recommend us doing is they'll grind out this whole strip here and then refill it with a, I don't know, foot width or something like that, and try to redo all those. And then the asphalt at the new maintenance facility also needs to be sealed every couple of years, which I just found out when we had some work done out there. But it's a coating that'll keep it around and keep it looking fresh and new for a long time, hopefully. And then we're working on the design for the new irrigation system, and I'm trying to work to get a new pump station ahead of it, which will be able to give us enough pressure out there. If you guys play U Creek, you'll see where we get really nice green spots, and then there's a gap in the middle. We don't quite have the pressure to make it since it's almost 30 years old now, so it's kind of lacking there, but we're hoping that a new pump station will get it before we can do the complete new irrigation system, which the price tag is pretty high.
And we do not have money for that right now, but the estimate is over $8 million.
Yeah. So, and then the new pump station, I got a price for it and I was pleasantly surprised, so we might be able to pull that off. It's just a timing thing now because we don't want it to come in like June, July, somewhere in there and be shut down for a couple weeks in the heat of the season. So shooting for February of 27 for that. And one more. I'll talk about this, but there's some pictures to go along with it. One more, right? So the bunkers, everybody knows our fairway bunkers aren't the greatest. So trying to come up with a plan where we can. There's a company that comes in and puts some material underground that will help hold the sand in place. That way it won't slough off these sides all the time. And as you know, we have so many bunkers out there that it's really hard to keep up with these fairway bunkers. But if we can come up with a plan or maybe to do 1-9 one year, 1-9 the other year, really want to concentrate on the fairway bunkers with that kind of stuff. We can keep up with the green side, but the plan is to try to come up with something like that for the fairway bunkers and try to keep them more aesthetically pleasing and playable. So, and then you can see here the other one was the irrigation ditches that run through the golf course. We are in charge of taking care of them, but as Jeff said, we haven't had money to dredge all these areas out. And this year in the spring, we really ran into some challenges because we didn't get them burned. Usually, if you've been around there, we'll burn the ditches and get some really fun flames going out there, but they didn't do it this year, so the water got way outside the banks and up high. And if the farmers wanted to call for as much water as they could, we would flood out some areas of the course. So we really need to concentrate on cleaning out these ditches, but we've been working with, was it Public Works? Down there and trying to get the company or figure out how we're going to do it and probably split the cost with them because it's a waterway too, so they have, somewhat on the hook for that too. So those are some, you can see how bad it is and it's going to be a heck of a job to do it, but we'll have to contract that out too, so.
And nothing's been done since the golf course.
Right. Nothing's been touched for 30 years, except for burning it, but then, you burn it and then it just kind of packs up on top of itself. So that's silt and dirt and you name it, golf balls, for 30 years have taken the belly of that. Like over on 13, it's probably 40 feet wide over there, where when it started, it was probably 5 or 10 feet wide. So that's some of the areas, and it'll help control our water too, and not waste as much water, spreading out inside, having to wet the ground before it gets to our lake where we can use it. So, I think any questions on Ute Creek CIP projects?
How do we prioritize these? I mean, is it based on cost or do you just decide?
It's a combination of that.
Right.
Usually it is dictated by some emergency that requires us to do it. The water, something's got to be done with the ditches before the spring because we cannot have the issues with people downstream that we can't deliver enough water through the golf courses. That's a requirement, and we need to make sure that can happen in the future. So, and then what we also have, and you guys might add a little to this if I miss something, is that we've tried to start doing a fixed asset management plan and trying to identify when equipment needs to be replaced, identify that costs so that we're spending $150 again to $200,000 a year to replace those things. And that can be anywhere on the golf course, clubhouse, golf course, maintenance, building, all of those things.
Yeah, I'm kind of picturing I'm sure you have a multi-year idea of what maintenance needs to happen at what times, right?
Yes. We're trying to do better with that.
Gotcha.
And city is currently working on a fixed asset management system. Right now we're trying to do it in Excel, and it's better than it has been, but we still have ways to go.
Gotcha.
Any other questions? Go ahead, Ryan.
All right, so I'll kind of lead off here with Twin Peaks. Start off with some of our goals for the rest of 25. So right now, for the rest of the year, right now we're winding down with aeration. We'll still go out there, still need to punch some holes and do some stuff on the golf course, but here's some things we want to get done towards the end of the year, and a lot of it is coinciding with now that the project's over, it's time to start taking care of those areas that are benefiting from having water now. So over here on the left side here, there's two areas. There's 10 ditch and over by 16 by the ditch. These are areas that have historically had no cover there. And even now, without having much seed put down, we can see that there's some seed growing. So our goal is to go in like these areas and some other places across the course, add some seed, aerate them, fertilize them, and try to get some seed to germinate, and then keep hitting those areas this year, and then throughout the future to start establishing better turf in areas that have historically been weak. And then also, another project we've been working on, though, if you've been on the course, you've seen we kind of have over here on 10T a partial split rail fence started. So our plan was to make number 10T kind of mirror the first tee box, where the split rail fence kept people off of the grass on the tee box area, but it's been held off for a couple of years just for the irrigation project, because it doesn't make sense to put a fence up when the puller or construction is going to come through. So we're going to be finishing a fence there to mirror the way number 1 looks, and also repair number 5 cart path right through here. You can see where it got kind of muddy over the past couple of years. That's from where the puller and some construction work was done. We have crusher fines that have a binding material in them to keep them compacted. Once the puller and construction went through, kind of mixed everything up, wasn't really working, turned to mud. So now that we're done, we're going to go in to this area, fill it up, put fresh material down, compact it, and it should cover all the mud up. Yeah, so the 25, real goal is to kind of pick up where the construction let off, just keep going. And then here's a few of our goals for 26, and some of this touches on what Jeff mentioned with the fixed asset. Like down here, replace the pond aerators, water heater, and basement furnace. Those are all things that have been needing replacement for a number of years, have been held off with the project, so now we have them on our list for 26 to be replaced, along with putting in a AC heater split unit out in the snack bar tentatively to make it a little more, inhabitable. And then, because we used to have the pond aerators on 10. They got taken out in the construction because they were powered off the old pump stations. When the new pump stations got in, we lost the power. So we'll have to, and those aerators are old, so we're looking at replacing some new ones, get some new power right out there, so we're hoping to have a fountain again in at least the East Lake. We'll see about maybe the West Lake also. Next. So here, kind of what I talked about a little bit before. Here in the middle is a picture of the split rail fence we started on, which also coincides with next year's goal of replacing this cart path going down the rest of number 10. It's been kind of beat up. And as the puller went through it, there's a few areas that got kind of pushed up or caved in. So that's on the agenda to replace. And just kind of like U Creek, crack seal and painting parking lots. Parking lots, it's been a while since they've been redone, and with all the construction traffic we've had going through, especially this parking lot over the past couple of years, it's really taken a wear and tear on it. So there's a few areas that we're going to have to get patched that have collapsed, but for the most part, it's this crack sealing and painting, and we'll be good. So now I'll transition on to Sunset. Oh, did anyone have any questions about Twin Peaks before I move on? All right. So, 25 goals at Sunset. The crew over there has been working on clearing the weeds along Longs Peak Avenue on the rock wall. It's historically been kind of a hard area to keep taken care of just because of the terrain it is. They've been working really hard at pulling the weeds off of there and hoping to prevent them from coming back. So we'll continue on that and hopefully have it done here within a couple of weeks, I believe. And also, from the water tower project, we've had that temporary parking lot at the end of the driving range. Our plan is for the crew to go in there, start scraping up that road base that was there. We'll pile it up, haul it off to a different part of the golf course so we can use it somewhere. And then we will flatten that out and reseed and hopefully get that back into the driving range back from what it looks like now. And I have a couple items at the bottom here for the rest of the year that will help out at the clubhouse. We currently have 12 new tables, 48 new chairs, just like what we have here at Twin Peaks on order for Sunset to replace the old plastic ones that have been over there and seen better days. So we're hoping to see those probably within the next 2 or 3 weeks, depending on how shipping goes, along with adding the internet cable at the snack bar over there so Ryan can use the same point of sale system at the snack bar that the front desk has, kind of like set up here at Twin Peaks. So here's a picture of the road base at the end of the driving range, and there's a little bit of the rock wall. You can see the headway that the crew has made over there. Then along with the old tables compared to the new tables, and I think it's going to make it look a whole lot nicer over there.
Yeah.
So, on the 26th, one of our big goals over there is to replace the cart path along the 9th hole. We did it, I believe that was end of 20, early 21. We replaced the old kind of torn up asphalt cart path with the crusher fine cart path. We found out over the years that that material isn't the greatest on the terrain over there because it's sloped and holds on to the moisture. So we've been looking into getting that replaced with concrete. We've started looking in with people within the city on what steps we need to take to get concrete put in there. Started to do some legwork and hopefully have someone come take a look at it here within the next few weeks to exactly see what we have ahead of us on that.
Hold on a second. So when Public Works does concrete projects all around the city, and so we work with them to get the price that they have because they're doing things in such volume, we have to pay for it still, but it gets us at that discounted rate, which is a really good thing for golf.
Yeah. So the 3 streets that parallel Sunset, all those sidewalks are getting redone. They're all painted up to get redone, so maybe this, I don't know if it's too quick to do it, but they're gonna have this things out there.
If we can do it yet this year, we will do that work. It just depends on how busy that contractor is, but our goal is to have it in place for when things really kick off in 26 at the latest.
Yeah, what about the cart path that affects 3 and 8?
At Sunset,
Yeah,
well, we've done on 8. We did the crusher fines, and then did we do it on 3?
No, 3 is still the original.
So that
8's
needs
washed
to-
out also. They're actually on our CIP list, I believe, for 27 replacement. No, hole number 9, cart path, got moved ahead of those 2 because especially first part of the year, right as everything starts to thaw, we've had it where number 9 cart path from 9T all the way up to the clubhouse is impassable because this turns into mush. So we're trying to make sure, since that's the biggest affected area and kind of makes it hard to push traffic through, to start with that one, and then we'll move on to the other ones. And then I believe in 27, 28, 29, I have the pass on 3, 8, and number 2 to be replaced. And then it all depends on how budget and numbers look like. Some might get moved around, moved ahead. It all kind of depends, but for now, that's how we have things planned out.
So the cart path on 9, if you put concrete, won't that still cause a problem with drainage?
So we'll be able to put drainage onto the side, or it will stay in the grass. Right now, this material is a mixture of crusher fines, sand, some dye. It's basically a bike path. And when in the winter, it'll freeze up and it's fine. But in this, right as we get into the thaw, kind of end of January, depending on how it is, all that moisture that's frozen inside of it comes out, and it just turns into one big mushy bog, and you can't come through. And
Yeah, I'm just
until it
thinking
dries out.
if you put concrete on that,
Well,
it just starts
they'll-
to freeze and
Well, they'll
thaw.
dig it back out and put it down onto road base.
Okay.
So that crusher material, I believe, is about 5 to 6 inches deep. So that'll all have to be dug out, removed, and then proper road base put down underneath it.
I would think this would be pretty critical just because that's the last hole and you don't want people to have a bad impression as they're leaving.
Yeah, and it's been so hard over the last couple of years to get traffic to route around it. I think one year it was bad enough we had to push people through the gate by 2 green, come around behind the green, and up through 9 and around just because it was so bad. We've had plywood over it, we've had to put other stuff over it, and this with the concrete path, as long as, even if it gets wet on the edges, we'll still be able to have traffic go down it, and then it may just be a cart path only hole.
Yeah. Versus the cart sinking into
Yeah.
the path itself, and
Yeah, we've seen it where
yeah,
the carts have sunk up to the hubcap because it's so soft, and it turns into quite the mess.
And technically it's the 9 holes, right?
Yeah,
Why are there 2 holes there?
there's the not the original. I don't
Yeah,
believe that's
old
the
nine and
original
new nine.
green, but the east green, the one closest to the pool, is only open during the off season of the pool.
Okay.
The
So it is
west
to watch
green,
out
the
for
west
people
green
there.
was built. Keith, do you know when?
I believe it was
Gosh.
the 90s.
Was that before? Was that before you even?
No, I was around. That was in late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah,
So they just moved the green farther away, so that way the pool it didn't affect it. And
Okay.
realistically, safety.
100% that was it.
But it's good to have it double green during the winter. Two groups. One group goes right, one group goes left. Or if you're playing 18 holes, the right green, the east green, most people play that as 9, and then 18
Okay.
is the west. Call it. But eventually we do close the west green
Okay.
to keep it healthy.
because sometimes like in the winter we'll do the temporary tee back there behind 2 green where it's really kind of flat and long. It gets kind of hard to hit the west green from that vantage point, so this will be a straight on hole to the east green during the winter months. What else we have there? Twin Peaks and New Creek. We have on there crack seal and paint the parking lot, just wear and tear of traffic in and out. Then a couple fixed asset items, we either refrigerator or freezer, haven't decided which one. Pick the day, one's better than the other. We'll see next year which one we replace, and then probably have the other one replaced the following year. Then down here at the bottom, which kind of coincides with the new tables and chairs that we have, we're going to hire a designer and try to design an outdoor sitting area over there at Sunset. Not exactly sure what it's going to 100% look like now, but we're going to get with a designer and see what we can come up with the space we have, so that way when Ryan has a tournament or an event or just people hanging around out there, it doesn't always have to be inside the clubhouse, because been over there, it doesn't take very much for that clubhouse to get very congested and
Loud.
yeah, loud.
Depending on who's in there. The
So-
birds that are in there, yeah.
Come up with a design to do a sitting area out there, which could also coincide with some of these events we want to do, like the party when it's at Sunset in that summer. computer. So
All right, I think we got it. Could you go back to all the way to the golfer experience slide? Right there, yep. So we wanted your input on what you think we should consider in the coming years that would ultimately help with the golfer experience. Anybody have any thoughts?
I do. I've been seeing on TikTok and it sounds crazy, a new way of golfing. I call it the pickleball of golf, fling golf. And it's fling golf. And I call it the pickleball of golf because it's one club, and you know what I'm talking about, Ryan?
I think that actually this came up like a year or so ago, but it might be a different version. But
it's kind of like you start. It's got a kind of little hook for the ball, and you fling the ball
like a dog,
Like highlight?
Yeah, like a dog, you know, like they're yeah. And then you putt like normal. And I just wonder, hey, you know, there's going to be someone. I mean, if we have frisbee golf and we have pickleball, eventually someone's going to buy these clubs, and it's a one club item with it becomes a putter in and I just see that that's something that the younger crowd is going to say, hey, maybe it's something they want to try. And it's you know what happened to our tennis courts. So they became.
I was going to ask the simple, because I didn't see it on any of the slides, about the sunshades.
Well, they're on there in the future, but I told Keith the other day that I put them in the lawn after promising him for so long. But those are on the list yet.
I mean, because I think that would be enhance the golfer, non-golfer experience, both. I mean,
I would just like to see this side used more before we would invest in more out there.
I would say more hydration stations. And make some of your restroom facilities permanent, like jog journeys.
Which courses?
Well, the one with the jog journeys, I'm thinking is U Creek at the top of, is it 5 or whatever? 15.
And then in the middle of Sunset as well.
But I know you have some hydration stations on like Twin Peaks, because I've seen that on hot days it would be great to have a few more. And they're not big, that's not a big cost.
Jeff, that's kind of a segue into this survey, right? That was one of the things I noticed is there's no area for them to maybe recommend what they would like to see. Instead of us on the board trying to foresee what might be interesting or desirable, there really should be a section there. Maybe we remove a question like city of home course. I don't know that's like I don't know what information.
Question came from.
I don't know what information we're trying to
That
get.
wasn't on our list the other day.
It's not on this.
I just don't know what information we're trying to get from that question.
Yeah.
If the survey is to get information to improve either golf experience, the course, services, that is the first question I would personally remove and substitute for, what recommendations would you make, would you want to see?
And just have it open-ended?
Sure.
Well, again, I think Bill's right. I think it's hard to know exactly what it is you're trying to answer with this survey.
Just
Well,
I some questions.
I would tell you that the staff is really struggling, because if we got these surveys back right now, not sure what difference it makes. Unless there is some big thing where our conditions go bad or pace of play, those are the things we generally hear about. The other things on this are, I don't know that they provide a lot of value. But if we, maybe a couple times a year, keep the demographic questions just a little, how do we do today kind of thing, and then what would you add that would help with the golfer experience? And maybe it's that short, and it's done for short periods of time, so that if we need to budget or react to it, we have time to be able to do that.
Have you had the opportunity to consider going at it a different way? For instance, I mean, there are a lot of profitable courses around here. Have you ever gone through a best practices to see what they do that you don't do, and how that ends up there affecting the bottom line?
I would say that the memberships that Dan and Ryan have, and that Keith and Ryan have, checks us on those kind of things. I think that overall, we're pretty right on with the way other groups do it. I think the difference is, could you do some niceties that make things even better? What would happen if we had volunteers that help people get clubs out of their cars and to the cars at New Creek? That really starts to change some of that experience. I don't think we could do that. I don't think that's the type of courses that Sunset and Twin Peaks are, but it might be what New Creek continues to make us a little different there. And I don't know, Keith, what you think about that?
I hadn't brought it up. I
do that before he changes his mind.
I think the majority of people ride, so they come in and they pay, and then they drive their cars to the parking lot, and then they get to the parking lot. And so it seems like they would still have to come in and the carts might not have to go all the way through the parking lot. I don't know.
I think those are the kind of things
there are things that could, which we can look to in the future.
I have a question. Who has responsibility of the golf courses to maintain the golf in your stand?
Dan Reese.
I mean, like,
The ball washers.
water's in it, if it works, if they've got towels there. To me, that is something over the years that I've played sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad, etc. And that's something that I don't know, maybe I'm the only one using them, but that's something where you really get a sense of the golf course, especially if you don't know anything about it. That's something that you use, and if it's not there, you want to clean your ball. That's frustrating.
I'll tell you, John, that some of golf courses are starting to remove their ball washers, because a lot of golfers are carrying their own towel now. We have buckets where people can wet them as they get into their round, and then that's how a lot of people are dealing with that.
Okay. I played up at TPC at the Bertha. There's not a ball washer to be found anywhere.
But I think the traditional golfer really likes that.
But to your point, and particularly Twin Peaks and Sunset for sure, I think that people have gotten used to them. I couldn't even tell you what holes they're on at New Creek. Could you, Jesse? Could you tell me where the ball washers are out there?
At you? No.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you use them? Do we do that? No.
Yeah, that's our club trying to get.
Yeah.
So, and so I just think that
Did he pay you to ask this question?
nobody will.
If you're gonna have them, they should work.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you're going to take them out, then you need to make some kind of,
Along the parks.
I think
Let someone know.
On the range, people wet their towels down and they have water on their towels all day to wash it off all day.
I think the point is like if you're gonna have it, make it nice, right? Like if they're gonna be dirty towels that no one really wants to use, it's kind of gross. Take them out. Like, but if you're gonna keep them, then like make it somewhat nice. Like put some little effort into it. If it's $1,000 or $5,000, whatever. Just like make it so that it comes off in a way that you care about the small things, which translates to I think a better experience.
I think all the ball washers that we have are good. It's taking the time to put fresh water and soap and that sort of thing.
And it doesn't take long during the summer months when it's hot, and the dirt from the golf balls gets in the washer and it's hot, and it can get pretty
dirty.
An interesting smell pretty quick.
I'm wondering if you couldn't have one that's more portable with the person that's running around with the beer cart, and just ask, can we clean your golf ball or something like
I
that?
don't think it's a normal thing, but it's a nice
I mean,
idea.
it's just
I think
that's
that's
just that point of sale. With
There's also like the nicer golf carts have them built in, so if you have like, it's like kind of options like that. But no, it's a fun idea.
Well, it sounds like we should have some kind of plan, however we're gonna do it. Either we have them, don't have them, but if we do have them, let's maintain them properly.
And at U Creek, during COVID, we had to remove all of the wall washers,
Is that right?
all the courses. When we put them all back in at Twin Peaks and Sunset, but we've only put half of them back out at U Creek. And in that time, since we've halved it, I've only gotten one complaint about not having more of them. And the towel thing seems to be the way a lot of golfers are going now. But I 100% agree that if we're going to have them, they need to be taken care of.
I think, sorry, back to the survey, I think you mentioned that at the onset of the last meeting, like you want to keep this as short as possible to make it as approachable as possible. I think I agree with the idea that having an open-ended comment of, is there anything else I'd like to see at the golf course? I think should be there. I think we can remove like city of home course, like do you usually play during the week or weekend, or how often do you play? I think just summarize into that to like how often do you play? Right, like are we looking to find if there's an avid golfer or not? Like, maybe that's the background of those questions, but in my opinion, it's like let's make this simpler and then make the question a little easier.
I do think for us, it's good for us to know if they're weekday or weekend golfers.
Yeah.
Because that's a very different demographic.
So the weekend golfer who plays once a week versus the weekday golfer who plays once a week?
No, they don't play once a week. So the weekday golfer might play 3-4 times a week at all 3 golf courses. And so finding that demographic of, so weekday golfer is going to be a much different price person than the Friday, Saturday, Sunday golfer.
Sure.
So getting their point of view, and having that maybe a different point of view than a weekend golfer.
Sure.
So for us, that's good information for us.
Okay. Do you care if they play once a week or 5 times a week?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
I think either weekday or weekend is good to know.
Okay. Then maybe just switch it and say, do you normally play during the week or weekend?
Yeah.
And then you can omit those kind of 3 questions into one, and then have an open-ended question and say, is there anything else I'd like to see? Any other comments? Maybe I don't tell you other comments. Is there anything else you want to see at the golf course?
Yeah.
So next month, we're going to meet again in October. We'll bring 2 samples of the shorter version with benefit. That'll work for everybody? Yes. Any other items on the thoughts for the future? Again, we don't necessarily need that tonight, but if you have thoughts, send us an email, or we can always talk about that under items from the board or staff each month as well.
We also mentioned last meeting possibly like touch up the interior of Sunset Golf Course. Is that
The interior?
like was that a thing or no? Am I making that up? Like new carpet, fresh paint, I think. Maybe
no,
not.
I think what we talked about was doing something outside
Oh,
to
okay.
have more of a organized,
Structure.
yeah, where one of the things that I would really like to see is that view down number one at Sunset doesn't get much better than that.
Sure.
Is there a way we could do a better job of staging where people sit after their round and have that look down there? I think it really changes the whole impact of sitting inside or outside. You know, there's not much room under the awning during, you know, with the way it is right now. We'd really like to have something a little bit more.
I think it was second story rooftop bar, the best view in town, right? Like, I don't think there's anything else that would beat that, right? I mean, Utah's so pretty nice.
I just wasn't gonna say.
You're not wrong.
Well, you should put that on the list.
Yeah, that's gonna be quite the project if that were. That's a whole nother animal.
It'd be cool though.
If money was no object.
The only thing last thing is just again looking into automowers or anything like that I think in my mind is worth 30, 40, 50, 60,000 to try at a couple courses and see if they work, see if they don't, but that's always in the back of my mind.
There's word that Toro has really made an investment in this area, and starting sometime next year, we should have more options at a commercial grade that we'll be looking at.
But we're not brand specific, right? Maybe not.
We're not, but
What?
Commercial grade.
Yeah.
commercial grade. Toro, historically, we have worked with them just because of the value of the money that we put in there
Sure.
and the quality of the machines that we get.
Okay.
And they're also local on their automation side of it. When they purchased left-hand robotics that used to be in town.
Right.
So it's out by the interstate.
Yeah, I think I sold Toro at Pasta Tiempo a few months ago, and then I know Husqvarna has their own lower height model for turf of grass courts, tennis courts, and fairways. So they have a low height model, and that's also 18 acres or something like that. So I just think it's something to.
And I'm not saying we have to go with Toro, but that we're really interested in what they've got.
I think it's worth, to me it's worth interesting in just trying it, put it at Sunset driving range or put it at the shed out here at the end of 1 and 2 at U or Twin and just see if it works, see if it doesn't, right? We don't have to invest a lot of money into it. But.
Right.
So,
What?
did you have the discussion about the survey that you wanted?
Yes.
Did you get out of that? Okay.
Yeah.
So, any items from the staff? Than what was been discussed, any items from the board? I would suggest if anyone has ideas to add on to your presentation for golfer experience and non-golfer, to bring them so we have them all in one place. Obviously not just to throw them out now, but so that they can be discussed in the future, not tonight. But
just as an interest for you, one of the things that Dan and Ryan and I have talked about is the possibility of doing a party at each golf course each year, and seeing if we can make that happen.
I like it. And make sure your communities know about it.
Yeah, chairman's happy. Biggest smile on.
And before we adjourn, I will not be here next month. So I'm going to say happy holidays and great job for your year already. Anyway, with that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Bill, did you have your hand up?
Sorry.
Well, just real quick. So maybe next time we meet, we could talk a little bit about some things that we're doing to try to get younger golfers into.
Yeah.
I got some ideas, but I don't want to throw them out until I have an idea of what's going on already.
Yep, Ryan and Keith can both talk about our youth programs that we do and certainly always open to trying new things they're the future of the game.
Perfect. So do we have a motion to adjourn?
So.
Do I have a second? All in favor, say aye. Aye. And any opposed? Meeting adjourned at 7 p.m.